Hey, I'm Jakira Black, and this is day 4 of my book review. Today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on chapter 4 of this book, which is Self-Editing for Fiction Writers, How to Edit Yourself into Print by Rennie Brown and Dave King. And yesterday, for chapter 3, I remembered to put a link to the Amazon page for buying this book, and I do recommend it because I am finding it really informative. It's helping me come up with a plan for editing alongside the course, because we've been doing about editing and macro editing and micro editing on my course. So, you know, those two together, and yeah, this is really helping. So today is about proportions, and this is not really something I've thought that much about before, to be quite honest. I mean, I suppose, you know, you sort of like, you do to some degree, but I've never heard it called proportion or anything like that, and I've never sort of particularly paid attention to this. But for instance, it suggests reading 50 pages of a work that you've wrote, and as you're reading, to pay attention to the things that you concentrate on, that you spend your time on. You know, is there a character that you introduce? Is there a scene that you introduce, a setting that you introduce that, you know, you spend a lot of time introducing it all, and then they're not really relevant to the actual plot, and you don't really have needed to have gone into that much detail. That's what proportion is. It's like proportion to the plot. So are you spending a lot of time on something when it's not, when it's meaningless to the plot? Are you doing a lot of description when it doesn't really apply, and maybe it's overwhelming the reader because there's just too much description? And, you know, I mean, I am horrendous at books that, you know, I will stop reading if there's too much description, because I find it boring. I find it really boring. I much prefer when there's a lot of dialogue and action with some description along the way. And that's proportion as well, really. And I suppose it's possibly as well that, you know, because one thing I learned a long time ago was about having a balance between action and dialogue and description, and I suppose the proportion could be that as well. But, you know, with what I was just saying, you know, if you spend a lot of time introducing a character, whatever, you know, and they're not integral to the plot, you know, why waste your time and also waste your readers' time, because they are expecting something to happen and they're going to feel cheated when it doesn't. Also, do you go off on tangents, having little subplots and descriptions that don't advance the plot? Because, you know, do you need all of them? Do you need any of them? Do you need to kill your darlings? If you really like it but it doesn't advance the plot, then should it be there? I mean, that's up to you to decide. And also, say you've got a favourite hobby, and you have decided that you want your character to have this favourite hobby too, and you're describing it. But are you describing it too much because this is something you're really interested in? But is the reader going to be interested in, or is the reader going to be put off? All questions to think about. I do recommend getting this book. I am going to sort of look more into proportion and into what it actually means, because it is something like narrative distance that I've not really, I mean, I suppose I have in a way probably come across it, and but I've never really thought of it like that. And I think I want to investigate it a bit more at some time, just to understand it more. And so possibly in some time in the future I might do a YouTube video about proportion once I've explored it a bit more. So yeah, so tomorrow I am going to be reading chapter 5, and in chapter 5 it is about dialogue mechanics. So I mean, I'm actually pretty good at dialogue, but there's always things to learn, so I will enjoy reading that, and then I will come and do my video for it and talk to you about my thoughts. So okay, bye.